Back in 2014, I had the chance to do something that had quietly been sitting on my bucket list for years. I went skydiving. Let me set the scene. A friend of mine was graduating with his master's degree, preparing to move to Virginia, become a real adult, and he was excited about it, but also he wanted to do something really cool. So he said one night at small group, "Hey, before I move, I really want to go skydiving. Does anybody else have an interest in going with me?" My ears perked up. I have always wanted to do that. We ended up getting another friend in small group to go, and all of a sudden we had all signed up and we were all going to the airport. We drove out to this tiny airport about 30 minutes away, the kind of place where the office looks like a shed and the plane looks like a pack of gum. Super tiny. We signed all the paperwork and it basically said, "We are not responsible for death, doom, or destruction. Sign here." So we did. We paid our $200, we watched the safety video, and we were ready to jump. Surprisingly, everyone there was pretty calm, relaxed, almost casual about it. I guess when you jump out of airplanes for a living, you hold your life with a slightly looser grip. Then I met my tandem instructor. His name was Peter, probably in his mid-40s, cool, calm, and smiling like, well, it was just another Saturday. Because for him, it was. They told us we'd be jumping from about 14,000 feet and got us ready to go. Our plane was finally ready and we went out to get inside. And things got kind of real pretty fast. This plane wasn't like your typical plane with little seats and, table trays and all that. There was 2 silver benches lining each wall. And you just shuffle in and you sit down and then your instructor basically sits right behind you and begins to physically strap themselves to you via harness. Like 6 different places, there's no confusion about you being attached to another human being. You are secure. As we climbed higher and higher in the sky, Peter, my instructor, he kept asking me similar questions. "Hey, when we get up there, do you want to do anything fun?" I looked around and I said, "Peter, if you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. You do this for a living." A few minutes later, he tapped me on the shoulder again. He said, "Hey, so you're cool if we do some tricks while we're in the air?" Same answer. "Peter, you do this for a living. If you're good with it, I am good with it. I promise not to punch you in the face or kick or scream. I might scream a little bit, but I promise to have fun. We're going to be good. Let's do it." And then just as we were approaching the 14,000-foot jumping altitude, the door opened. The wind started to roar through this airplane. The earth impossibly far below us. And one last time, Peter leaned in and he said, "Because you're good with everything, how do you feel about doing a backflip out of the plane?" And I looked at him, my eyes lit up. That would be freaking awesome. And he said, "All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get positioned in the doorway, and when I tap you on the shoulder, you just need to lean back, and I'll fall out of the plane with you." Now, understand, this is not your typical trust fall. This isn't like your standard corporate trust fall exercise. This trust fall, it means I'm trust falling into the sky. So we got into position in the doorway, and sure enough, Peter tapped on my shoulder, and I leaned backwards. For a split second, there was nothing. And then we rotated, and the ground was above me, below me, or I don't know, everywhere. But within moments, Peter had stabilized us, and we were flying. And I can tell you, without hesitation, it was the best ride of my life. You're floating, you're free falling, you're seeing the world from a perspective that you could just never imagine until you do it. I remember a lot of things about that day, but what sticks with me is not just the thrill of that falling, free fall, floating, whatever you want to call it. It's the questions Peter kept asking me before we jumped. "Are you okay with this? Are you sure? Do you want to try something?" And my answer every time was simple. If you're good with it, I'm good with it. I trusted the one person who had done it 1,000 times before. Because here's the thing. In life, we can spend a lot of time staring at open doors, maybe at 14,000 feet, or at least in life what feels like 14,000 feet. Maybe it's a new job you're looking at taking. Maybe it's relationships Moves, risk, dreams, ideas that they feel too big. And we hesitate. We overanalyze, we research, we Google, we ask 10 friends who have never jumped out of a plane, what would you do? And meanwhile, there's probably someone standing right next to you who has done this metaphorical jump 1,000 times. A mentor, a coach, a parent, friend, a leader. And we let them walk by without asking the question, hey, you've done this before. What would you do? You see, sometimes the difference between fear and freedom is trust. Sometimes the backflip out of the airplane is the best part. Now, I'm not suggesting you recklessly leap into everything. My mom would highly disapprove of that advice. But I am suggesting this. When you find somebody who has the experience, when you find someone who carries 2 parachutes and does this for their day job, when you find someone who calmly says, I do this every day and you're going to be just fine, you got to learn something. You got to learn to just lean back and take the leap. Do the backflip out of the airplane. Because on the other side of that terrifying moment, it just might be the best ride of your life.